All right, we love talking SEC football with our guy Roman Harper. You see him on the SEC Network. You see him on ESPN on Saturdays. He is with us every single Thursday at this time, presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. They'll double that initial deposit. You can play with that money right away. MyBookie.ag, code next round. What is up, Harp? How are you today?
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing, man? How you? I'm living well, man. I can't complain.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I just finished getting a haircut too, man. So you guys normally catch me in the barber shop. I literally just left.
We like it when you're inside.
I like the barber chair, man.
I know. My barber likes too. He's like, man, it's free press, dog. Just make sure they know, where you're at.
All right, I want to start this by, I do Sunday nights on the Zone ABC 3340 with my guy Jeff Spiegel. You know Spiegs. And he did an interview with him, and he used it on the show, or you did an interview with him, he used it on the show where you were like, yeah, Ryan Williams, nice kid. I'm not totally blown away yet. I tried to tell Speaks, Harp's a defensive back. It's hard for him to get blown away by a wide receiver. Ryan Williams had a pretty good game. Are you blown away yet?
No. You also got to understand, like, how I was introduced to this kid was that he was compared to Julio Jones, and I didn't even know who he was. He reminds me a lot of Julio. And I give all the credit to my ESPN 300 guy, Craig Harper, who I work with on signing day and some other things. So I really trust him. He is really, really entrenched into the high school game where I do not care anything about. And he said, look, this kid could leave right now and he's 17, be a top 10 player in the country, or he could go back to high school and probably be the top 2 or 3 or first player in the country next year. I'm like, who? He's like, this kid Ryan Williams, he's this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. And this is a huge get for Alabama. Because I was like, oh, what about all these receivers that Alabama's not getting? He's like, don't worry about it. They got that one. You're fine. This is the one. He reminds me of Julio Jones, the way he competes, this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And then now I'm seeing him do all this stuff. I'm just like, I see why all the hype was there. So it's also how I was initially introduced to the young man, or what I was told about him initially, where I'm not always surprised. But I will say this, what he is doing is special. And it's really, really good to see a young man go out there and just ball out, play freely. And it's really cool to say, like, this is what happens when you don't know any better. He doesn't know he's not supposed to do all these spin moves. And before the ball gets there, look over his right shoulder so he can reverse spin, then reverse spin back. He's playing free. He doesn't know any better. Because nothing bad has happened to him, he can do it. So don't tell him anything differently. Just let him go.
So, Harp, outside of Alabama scoring a season-low 41 points against Georgia, can you find any negatives coming out of that win?
From the game, love it because, all right, Alabama won the game. That's all. That's great.
All right, we'll get back to Harp in 1 second when
the cell service gets better in his drive back.
Yeah, back from the barber shop. Harp clean cut though.
Yeah, I do want to hear his answer to that, because I do think a lot of Alabama fans have come out of that game feeling really, really good.
Did you guys lose me?
Yeah, we did for a second. So just start over that question again.
Did you guys lose me?
We did. Yeah,
we did. You got us now?
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I heard you guys the whole time.
All right.
All right. So anyways, it was a game of a lot of highs and a game of a lot of lows. And so the highs being what you saw, the first quarter start, like Jalen Milroe completing easy early passes, not just deep throws, but short intermediate throws, the quarterback run game, like a lot of really good highs defensively, creating turnovers, making Carson Beck work for a lot of different things, really, really good things. But the lows are really big too. And so Alabama's got 3 huge lows for me right now that I see that are pretty blatant. Number one, the run game. And I'm not talking about just quarterback runs, but from your actually running backs. Like, Alabama's not found a way to run the ball effectively all year long with their running backs. And any good running team can run the football effectively when everybody in the stadium knows you need to run the ball. And you can still go out there and do it. They got to get that thing figured out at some point, because they haven't ran the ball well with their running backs all year long as far as, like, consistency. The second thing I have, penalties. Bad, costly penalties for this team. Very undisciplined penalties, too. Personal fouls. penalties that are taking away big explosive plays for you as well. And they've done this in multiple games. They got to get this thing squared away, because if you think that Alabama fans are just happy that they beat Georgia, yes, that's true. But all it did was raise the expectations of championship and national, SEC championship and national championship. All it did was make those fans even more. They're like, nah, it's guaranteed now. So the expectations have risen, and so has the things of these nature. So these little things you got to get squared away. The last low that I have for you guys is the secondary piece. The corners have got to learn how to play the football better in the air. It was very blatant that they did not do that well at all. And you know what? That's the one problem that I know will get better, because they're all freshmen. And I love that Alabama's playing so many of them, because all these guys are going to get better by the end of the year. And so game 8, 9, 10, they're making a lot more of these plays than they're not making.
And talk about that. That's what I wanted to ask you is you get beat, and then with 40-something seconds left, they throw at you again, and you make the play. Is that learning on the job? Is that just the mentality of being a dog out there and making a play the last chance you have to make one? Talk about what happened at the end of the game for Brown there.
Yeah, it's really learning on the job. The biggest thing was he played off coverage in the red zone, and the only thing you couldn't give up was a non-ball over the top of your head, because Georgia has to score a touchdown. So just play off coverage, and then as soon as feel the receiver attacking you, feel where he's coming from, but then have eyes and be having relationship with the wide receiver and the quarterback to be able to see the whole equation. So often in football, DBs, we panic, right? Where we're not able to get the whole equation to be able to solve it. And that is the ball and the wide receiver. So often we're so much paying attention to the wide receiver that we forget 50% of it, which is the ball. Or so often we're paying attention to the ball and we lose track of where the receiver is. That's still just 50%. So when you have the whole equation, it's a lot easier to solve the problem. That's what I saw to Xavier Brown. Played off coverage, saw the ball in the air, and then went up and played the ball at the highest point, something you practice every day, and you've been doing it probably since you were 14 years old. That's what you do in those moments. And so your natural instincts kick in. When you're able to know everything, your eyes are right, your body will naturally do right. That was what I saw to Xavier Brown. Big time play by a young player, but nothing out of the ordinary or like, oh my gosh, look at that crazy good play. No, it's good technique. And when you have good, solid technique, good things will happen on the football field. And that's just a strong case of it. I'm really proud because, like I said before, these are a lot of young freshmen playing big moments and big times. And for Alabama to say like, oh man, this is like fourth quarter, crucial moment, and we still play our freshmen, I think that's outstanding. That's great. That's going to pay off for them so big in the future.
Roman Harper is with us, SEC Network. Alabama, a 22.5-point favorite at mybookie.ag. The Auburn Tigers, a 24-point underdog at mybookie.ag.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a big one. As they go to Georgia. Mybookie.ag, code next round, double that initial deposit. Code next round, double that initial deposit. I mean, I wouldn't exactly be excited to take Auburn as a 24-point underdog, Harp.
No, there's no way. Alabama fans are so excited. This is like the best thing they could ever do to Auburn. It's like, you know what? How about we beat Georgia, let them be pissed off and ready to go and revenge, and then send Auburn on the road to them. So this is it's not looking good. And I'll be honest, like Auburn, and I said this to Cole Kublik earlier this week. I said Auburn is really good at I don't even want to say really good, but man, they are really good at doing it. And they're really good at the worst thing in football, which is turn the ball over. Like, it's the worst thing you can do. And they do it consistently all the time. And that is a problem for them. And you don't win a lot of games when you turn the football over. And Auburn did so well for 3.5 quarters of taking care of the football. And when you got to have it, or you know, these big moments in the game, not only do you turn the football over, but then you give up 6 points on it too. So it's just backbreaking. It stinks. It's hard. And the fans are really, really sick and tired of it. And everybody knows what the problem is. And if they can't fix it, maybe this is just who this team is this year. And it's in their DNA. And when it's inside your DNA, you don't get to shake it or fix it. This is just who this team is this year.
So, Harp, you probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw you a trivia question, which will lead to a question. But the nation's longest win streak is a team currently in the SEC. It is?
Oh my gosh, I should know this. Missouri.
It is
Oh,
Missouri.
nice.
8 consecutive wins along with Army.
Also, it's tied. It's tied with who?
Army.
There we go.
Okay, so my question was going to be, I think this is a really interesting game coming off a bye for Eli Drinkwitz and Brady Cook and Missouri going to College Station, because after that week 1 win where the offense was so stagnant, now Marcel Reed comes in and it's kind of loosened up this running game. And I think A&M has gotten a little bit better each and every week. There's a reason they're favored against Missouri in this game. To me, this is the most fascinating in the SEC this weekend.
Hold on, A&M's favored?
Oh, yeah. A&M's favored.
It's like 2.5.
I'll look it up real quick, Harp. A&M favored mybookie.ag by 2.5 right now at home.
Man, that is home field right there. Home field usually gives you 3 points, right? So, yeah, that is I did not know that. Man. Okay, good. I loved it. Hey, thanks, mybookie.ag. Appreciate that. First of all, Marcel Reed has unlocked some things with Texas A&M. You look at him, and he's able to create with his legs. He protects himself. He knows how to get down. I would love for him to get down a little bit faster sometimes, but he does a really good job of that. And A&M is really fun. Like last week versus Arkansas, that was a Mike Elko looking win. Like now I know how he won 8 or 9 games at Duke. It's because they do the little things right all the time. They're going to play hard. They're going to play solid defense. They're going to try and take care of the football. And every time you make a mistake, they're going to capitalize on it. And so I saw that over and over play out last week versus Arkansas. And that's all you're going to see out of this team this week as well. The thing I'm concerned with if I'm a Missouri fan is that Missouri, their secondary has given up big explosive plays over the top of the defense. And it's not because of technique. It's not because of we're not good enough, but it's because they've gotten lazy down the field. And what does that mean? Well, how do you mean you get lazy? You're running 50 yards. Well, if I'm running and I'm in a deep cover zone and all of a sudden I'm 30 yards down the field, I start to relax and I look at the quarterback and the wide receiver still runs. Like I lose possession, I lose field. Now I'm down to that 50% that I just talked about of the equation of ball and relationship to the receiver. And then next, they keep running, they strike up the band on me because the quarterback can throw the ball 50 yards. So they've done that in every game at some point. They have relaxed and given up a deep play. And with Marcel Reed's ability to be able to extend plays, run around just a second, then somebody's deep and wide open, that's what happens. So I definitely would be worried about that, including A&M ability to be able to run the football. This is going to be a really, really good test for both teams.
All right, he is Roman Harper. You'll see him on the SEC Network, ESPN Sports Center on Saturday morning as well. Harp, safe travels this week. Always good to see you, buddy.
Also Sunday morning now.
Oh.
Always also now on Sunday mornings. They doubling up now. So
look at Harp. Sunday
Saturday
morning.
and Sunday.
Wow, big time. All right, Harp. Safe travels. We'll see you next week. All right.
I appreciate it, fellas. Thanks as always.
All right,
Bye.
buddy. Take care. That is Roman Harper, mybookie.ag code next round. He was a little surprised A&M's the home favorite. I will say this. Home field has meant nothing for them.